Welcome at Pizza and More. I really do know it. Not everyone has at home a professional equipment for making pizza or even a pizza oven. I'm Jürgen and we make at this time a pizza dough which everyone can make at home in his kitchen without any special tools. I won't use such dough boxes, I won't use any spatula, I won't use any mixer or whatever. It's really a dough for everyone. However, I want to make a dough with really a maximum of taste. This is the reason why I said this is the next level dough. We make a pre-dough. You know there are a few versions available. The first version we make a dough is the direct dough. In a direct dough we mix everything together, create our dough, direct dough. The next one is a Poolish and the next one is the Biga. A Biga is very difficult to work with, especially if you have to do it by hand because the Biga is very dry. So I decided now we make the next level pizza dough, made by hand, make it home without a mixer, without anything, with a Poolish, because the Poolish is a very wet version of a pre-dough with 100% of hydration. Don't be afraid, we only mix it afterwards, it will be okay. But the main dough then can be done very easy because of the very liquid pre-dough already. As I said, I wanna make this dough now for everyone. Normally I would use two different kinds of flour. For the pre-dough, for the Poolish dough, I would use a flour with a high baking strength, so with a W value of around 340 or so, and a protein value of 13 or 14%. And then for the main dough, with a medium baking strength, so with a W value of around 260 to 80. And one second. Yeah, sorry for the interruption. This is real life. The postman was at the door. Where have I been? Exactly. I would make then the main dough with a flour with a medium baking strength and with a protein value of around 12 to 13%. But I'm pretty sure not everyone has different Italian pizza flours at home, and that's the reason why I make our dough today with a really total normal flour out of the supermarket. In Germany we have this type 550, I think. It's also called all-purpose flour. And in Italy, it's a flour from a Typo 0. As I said, I took it directly out of the supermarket. This one has 12% protein. If you want to know a bit more about flour, why, which W value, why the protein is important and so on, I made a video where I explained everything and I will link it here. Our dough will have a total leavening time of 48 hours, which means we will have 24 hours for the Poolish and then 24 hours for our main dough. For our pizza dough, as you might know, we need normally 5 ingredients. The first one is the flour, the second one is water, then we have yeast and we have salt and of course passion and love to the dough. Otherwise, if you have no passion and no fun with making pizza dough, it will not work. I can promise you this. But in our case now, we have 2 ingredients more. One is honey and the other one is olive oil. We use the honey directly in the Poolish, not for feeding the yeast. This is not required. We use the honey for giving the dough in the kitchen oven some color. Then the color might get quicker and nicer on the crust. And the olive oil is used, of course, olive oil is really healthy, olive oil is very tasty, and we need our olive oil in the dough. However, you can use olive oil in any case, in any pizza dough, by the way. But In our case now we use the olive oil for keeping the dough or protecting the dough from drying out. You need to know, in a normal pizza oven with 450 degrees Celsius, for example, the pizza lasts around 60 to 90 seconds. In the kitchen oven, you will see it when we bake the pizza together, it takes 6, 7, maybe 8 minutes. And in this long time, we would have the danger that our dough gets dry. And the olive oil we add to our dough will protect our dough from drying out. The hydration we use, by the way, is 62%. We use 62% because it's a hydration which is easy to work with. So as I said, the dough should be for everyone. In the kitchen oven, it would be better to have a higher hydration, so 65 to 70%. But with our flour we are using now, with this all-purpose flour, it would be dangerous that this kind of flour is not able to take over 65% of water. That's the reason why I said we use 62%. This is easy to handle, this is easy for everyone, and the result at the end will be okay. Definitely okay and far better than everywhere, especially because we are making also our Poolish. The advantages our Poolish has are a better taste. The dough might be very elastic, and of course the crust might be a bit more crispy. And now I would say we start directly with our dough. Here we have our ingredients for the Poolish. These are 260 grams of flour. I have here then the same amount, so 260 grams of cold water. I have here 5 grams of honey, and of course if we want to use dry yeast, we would use dry yeast only 0.2 grams. But as I said, we have no special tools, so also no precision balance. And that's the reason why I decided, and 0.2 grams without a precision scale is absolutely impossible. And therefore I thought we use fresh yeast, because such a ball of fresh yeast in the size of a pea or a big pea is 1 gram. We need 0.6 grams, so almost half of this ball, which means we simply part it, and then we think, okay, this is roughly half a gram or 0.6, and this is exactly what we use. To start with the Poolish, the first we do is we pour the water into a bowl, and as next we add directly the yeast, and then we melt the yeast in the water. When the yeast is melted, we add our honey, then we also melt the honey, only a little bit, and then we add some flour, only a third I would say, and then we mix it up. Then we can add the next third. And we add the rest of the flour. And then our Poolish is done. Now it's very important to close the lid of this bowl we used. If you have no lid for this bowl, it doesn't matter, then you can also wrap it with a plastic foil, it doesn't matter. It needs to be airtight. And then we raise the Poolish at room temperature for 1 to 2 hours. and then we put the Poolish into the fridge for 16 to 24 hours. The Poolish had now a leavening time of 24 hours exactly as we have planned. 2 hours at room temperature and then around 22 hours at or in the fridge. I took the Poolish directly out of the fridge, so the Poolish is still cold, and I also have a cold water. Reason is that we need both cold because we knead the dough by hand around about 20 minutes. And when we knead the dough around 20 minutes, there might be the danger that the dough gets warm, and we should avoid that the dough gets warmer than 25 to 27 degrees. Because otherwise there is the possibility that the gluten structure breaks, and during kneading, during our time we knead, the gluten structure is built, and we want to keep this because we need the gluten structure, that the water and all the gas which is produced from the yeast during the fermentation stays in the dough. Some people say 23, 24 degrees, not warmer, but my experience showed 25 to 27 degrees is fully okay. And now I show you the ingredients we need for the main dough, and then we create the main dough. These are all the ingredients we need now for our main dough. This is our Poolish. You can see all these bubbles in the Poolish, which is absolutely fantastic. We saw, okay, the yeast was working in our Poolish. We have here a very nice fermented pre-dough. As we have 50% of Poolish in our dough, we have here the other 50% of our flour, which means 260 grams of flour. Here I have the rest of the water, which is 65 grams. I have here 50 grams of fine sea salt. You really should use fine salt, because if you use the salt which is in bigger pieces, it will not dissolve in the dough. Here I have 5 grams of olive oil, and of course 1.6 or in this case 1.5 grams roundabout of fresh yeast. If we would use dry yeast, then 0.7 grams, but as I said yesterday, precision scale is for me then a special tool which I won't use today. So I have here, as you can see, this is again a yeast ball with around 1 gram, and this is the other half from the dough ball yesterday, which means round about half a gram. So we have here 1.5 grams roundabout of fresh yeast. To make our main dough, I use here a separate bowl. Then I pour in the first instance all the water into the bowl, and then I add the yeast, and then I dissolve directly this yeast. Then we add our Poolish, and then I would recommend now to use a wooden spoon, and then we dissolve a little bit our Poolish. It does not mean that everything needs to be mixed up absolutely 100%. It's enough when it's a bit mixed together, the water, our yeast and our Poolish, and then we can add the first third of our flour. And then we mix it. Then we can add the next third, roundabout third. And then we can add the last third of the flour. And now I would recommend to use the hand, because now it's a bit easier to mix the dough by hand instead of using this wooden spoon, because this is then a bit more difficult. For doing this, I would really recommend to keep one hand clean and use only one hand for kneading. For kneading the dough, I always take here the flour. I take the flour from the bottom and bring it to the top. And then I turn the bowl with the clean hand and I do the same. I take the flour, put it on top and press. Turn, take it from the bottom to the top and press. And now at this stage, when the bowl is clean and almost everything is incorporated, we can add our salt and continue kneading. I would not go now already onto the counter because we have to add in a few minutes the olive oil. And now it's time to add our olive oil. And as soon the olive oil is incorporated, we can really take the dough out onto the counter. And now also when all the olive oil is in the dough, we put the dough onto the counter and we continue kneading here. And we do here exactly the same movement like I showed you already. We press the dough, we take it, we stretch it a bit, fold it back, press it and turn the dough by 90 degrees. And we continue exactly the same. And we do this now for around 20 minutes until the so-called window test works. I had now a kneading time of around 17 to 20 minutes. Normally I would have expected it takes longer, but the Poolish helps that the kneading time is not that long. You can see the dough is still a bit sticky, but this really doesn't matter. Now I take a little bit of the dough and then I try to make this window test, what I already said. If we make now wet hands or with some olive oil, then it works a little bit better. But nevertheless, I can show you what I mean. I take the dough and then I stretch it here. And if we are able to stretch the dough here properly, you can see then the dough is ready, the gluten structure is built properly and our dough is ready. Now we form a nice dough ball. Therefore we lift the dough, we stretch it here and we fold it over. We take it again, put it back, stretch it, fold it. And that's the reason, or this is what's so-called stretch and fold. And this strengthens also our gluten structure. And we do this several times and then the dough is better, it's not that sticky anymore. And then we turn the dough ball several times, we pull it, we turn it again, we pull it, turn it, and we pull it. Now we can, if we want, cover the surface of the dough a little bit with olive oil, or we let it simply as it is. We take the bowl where we kneaded our dough, close it, so protect it from air, and let the dough now raise for around 30 minutes at room temperature. And now after 30 minutes we make our pizza balls. This time right now, if this is 30 minutes, if this is 1 hour, if this is 2 hours, if this is 12 hours, it really doesn't matter. You can really work here how it fits into your time schedule. Now we make 3 dough balls. Each will have around 290 grams. Therefore I need a kitchen scale and I make 3 pieces which have the same weight. Now I have the 3 dough balls on my counter. We try to keep always this side which was on top during the leavening time also on top, because this is already a bit stronger and this is pretty good to use. So the first ball we make is we take the dough and we always pull the dough from the side and from the top towards the bottom and push it into the bottom. And here you already can see how strong the surface of this dough is right now. And this is exactly what we want. And then if we have it like this, then we close the bottom. And normally I would say we place the dough ball now in such a dough ball box, because there we have then also a lid to close it. But as I said, I won't use any special tools. I use a normal baking tray, which will also work. Then the second way how we make our dough ball is the same like we did the big one. We make this stretch and fold with the small balls. And then we can turn it. We pull it a little bit. We turn it. Here you can see already some air. We pull it, we turn it. And when the surface is nice and strong, we look that the bottom is closed. And then the dough ball is ready. And the same we do with the third one. And there are now all the 3 dough balls on our baking tray. Now it's important to close them, because otherwise they would dry out. If you have any other box which you could use, this is also fine. Important is that the bottom of this box you use, like this baking tray, is really flat. Otherwise it will be very difficult to take the dough balls out. We let our dough balls now raise at room temperature for 1 to 2 hours. And then we place them in the fridge for around, let's say 6 hours before we bake our pizza. The reason why we have 6 hours, actually it's winter, it's very cold. The room temperature is also not that warm, so therefore 6 hours before baking is okay. In summer times, or when it's warmer, then 4 hours or even 2 hours might be also enough. Here we have to play a bit with the temperature and to see how it works. If you have no space in the fridge, for example, then you could place your baking tray or the container with the dough balls also somewhere where it's a bit colder, maybe in a sleeping room or in the basement or wherever. If you use mozzarella, which is in this salty water, then please put the mozzarella out of this salty water, cut it into slices or into sticks, put it into a sieve and let it drain for around about 20 to 12 hours. Otherwise, all the water which is inside of this mozzarella will go during baking onto our pizza, and then we have a very soggy and not that nice pizza. The preparation of our kitchen oven is we have to preheat our kitchen oven to the maximum temperature. In my case, my kitchen oven is able to make 300 degrees Celsius with the two-sided heat, so heat from the top and heat from the bottom, without any ventilation. The best would be if we would have a pizza stone, but as I said, I want to show you how it works without any special tools. We make it only with a baking tray, so without any special tools. If you don't want to do this long time kneading, so if you are really fed up about kneading, there is one other possibility as well. There is the possibility to make a no-knead dough. In this video, I show how the no-knead dough works, and this is really impressive because it works really without kneading the dough. This means at this stage, when we mixed up the dough with the olive oil, we let the dough raise for around 1 hour, and then we do a stretch and fold, and then we let it raise again or rest again, and we repeat this 4 or 5 times, and then the pizza dough kneads during the time and during the stretch and fold itself. You can try it and have a look if this also works for you. 5 hours ago I removed my pizza balls out of the fridge. They were now, as I said, 5 hours at room temperature and they look absolutely fantastic. The home oven is already preheated. The best would be if we would have right now a pizza stone or a pizza steel. But for a pizza stone or a pizza steel, we would need a pizza peel as well. But as I said, we make pizza without any special tools, so we have also no possibility to use today a pizza peel. If you would have a pizza peel, for example, but no stone and no pizza steel, it would be also possible to use a normal baking tray upside down and then bake on this side the pizza, launch it with the pizza peel. If we would have a peel, then we would add this baking tray totally at the top and would preheat this baking tray as well. But as we have to bake now, normal sided our pizza on this tray, it is impossible to preheat it, so therefore we use it like it is, in a cold way. But for this we have to start with our pizza on the lowest level, so in the kitchen oven in the lowest level, because we need some temperature also from the bottom, otherwise the bottom of the pizza would be totally white. So we pre-bake our pizza totally at the bottom and then we add our toppings and then we put it onto the top. But you will see what I mean. And here are our pizza balls. They are absolutely fantastic. I removed already from the first one the plastic foil. Normally I would say it's ideal to use such a spatula to work with, but I see the spatula right now as a special tool. Therefore I won't use it, but I use semula. If you don't have semula, then please use some flour or something like this. I put some flour here everywhere where one dough ball is attached to another one, and I put semula on top of this dough ball and around the dough ball. And then I use such a tool. This is for a normal pan normally. And then I go here in between. I part the pizza balls where they are attached to each other. It's very important that we are now very gentle to our dough, because if we are not gentle enough and if we would stress our pizza ball, then we would have no chance to make a nice pizza in a round shape. Now you see I push the semula under and then I go under it and then I lift it out. I have it now in my hand. It will not stick because I have enough semula on it. And then I have here a semula bed and I put the pizza ball into this semula bed. Now it's important to close this foil again to protect the remaining dough balls from drying out. Now we flip the dough ball several times in the semolina and then we take it out. We look that we have a round shape and then we start pressing the air from the center towards the crust. Then we flip the dough around and we do the same from the other side. If we have absolutely thick air bubbles, we can directly open them. And then we can take our pizza dough on our hands and put it onto the baking tray. Then we correct the shape. And we add our tomato sauce. And then only with the tomato sauce it's time to pre-bake the pizza.
And then when the crust starts to get some color, then we take it out of the oven and then we add all our toppings. At first, some grana padano or Parmesan cheese. Then some fresh basil. Then our mozzarella fior di latte. And then if you want, you can add all the other toppings as well. It's important to pre-bake the pizza without toppings, only with the tomato sauce, because otherwise all the toppings would burn in the oven, because the pizza is far longer in the oven than in a normal pizza oven. Then as last, some olive oil. And then it's time to put it back into the oven at the top level. And then when the cheese is nice melted, we take the pizza out of the oven. And then we add some fresh basil, and our pizza margherita with Poolish without any special tools is ready. And you can see, listen, I hope you heard how fantastic and crispy the crust is. And now I would say we look inside. If we have air inside of our dough. And you can see, fantastic.
And now I have the pleasure to taste our pizza. At first from the center. Guys, this really tastes amazing. And now I taste the crust. The crust is really crispy, and in the center it's airy and really soft. Absolutely great. And we make this pizza without any special tools, without any witch work. You saw, it's really possible for everyone to make this lovely pizza. If you want to make more often pizza, it might be okay and might be really a big advantage if you have more special tools. In this video, I explain several special tools, what I would recommend to have, or what I think it's not so required to have. If you like my video, it would be fantastic if you would subscribe my channel, and then we see us also in the next video. Ciao.